Hey, whoa! I'm not the one that put. I didn't put in Bears playoff chances. You're a moron. What's going on, guys? Episode 6, Beanie Boys here. We had some activity this morning. We've been waiting the whole college season for. College football playoff rankings came out, and that's finalized today. DP here. He's coming on the pod with some food poisoning today. I respect it. Not feeling the greatest. But John and Mac are via Zoom. John's out in Greenwood, and then Mac is at his home. But Mac, what was the bourbon of the day today, buddy?
So no bourbon yet today, but we got Heaven Hill grain to glass. We're going to crack this bad boy open tonight and enjoy Sunday night football. We'll be taking the Chargers.
Nice.
John, the Chargers?
You're so dumb, dude.
He's dumb, John. Already.
He's actually so dumb.
Wow. John loves Burrow, though. John's a big Burrower. But we're going to...
I mean, Zach, what's the one thing you don't do, first of all, to get this pod started? The one thing you don't do, Mackie, is bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Hey,
He's
check
the
out what
daddy of all 31 NFL teams, buddy.
Hey, check out what his record against the spread is this year.
Oh, I forget. I thought it was Chargers, Bengals.
Monday night is Burrow.
Burrow's Cowboys. But we're getting into college basketball. You know, we're not doing a conference this week, but we are going to go over some good games this week. First, starting with that Auburn-Duke game. You know, John, once again, wrong. He tried convincing me to bet Auburn. I texted Mackie on the side, and I said, Mac, I like Duke. Mac, you said this is their big game. So, hey, Mac, I'm going to pass it to you. Duke got it done. And was this their game to get it going?
Yeah, this was the breakout game. You get Cameron Indoor, you get the best team in the country, in my opinion, which is still Auburn, and they rolled, absolutely rolled it. I know it got tight there at the end for a little bit, but it always felt like Duke was in control of this game after the sluggish start. From about the under 12 timeout on in the first half, I had no doubts Duke would win the game. Seems like they controlled it at their pace. They played defense. They kind of shut Janai Broome out of the game pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Broome was a huge factor. It's because Brown was playing great defense on him. I watched pretty much that entire game from start to finish, and I was very impressed with how Brown played defense on Broome. DP, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah, you know, in this game, this was obviously the game that you're looking for if you're Duke to, like, get that signature win finally. Like, you know, you lost to Kansas. You know, Knipple almost hit that buzzer beater. But this was their signature win on the year, you know, get them ready for conference play. In this game, I did have first half over in this game, so that was in. I did have both team totals ended up coming in this game. But towards the end of the game, with about 3.5 to go, when Auburn was down, 7-8 points, I did throw money on them live, just because I thought they would end up pulling through. And Auburn shot the ball well in this game.
Yeah.
Usually teams can go into Cameron Indoor and struggle. But, Duke just made more plays. I wouldn't say it seemed like they wanted it more, but, I mean, they got to defend their home turf. So that's a great win for Duke, boosting morale there for Schreier and company. So we'll see. I still think Auburn's the best team in the country.
Yeah, out the gate, too. I mean, I'm pretty sure Auburn started out. They were winning 13-2.
I mean, they were dominating.
Yeah,
early.
I mean, threes were rolling down for the Tigers early and from deep. And I'll be honest, I thought my parlay was done, but it wasn't. Thank you, Duke. John, what was your thoughts, buddy?
So the biggest thing for me is that Cooper Flagg finally showed up in a massive way in a huge game. He had 22 points, 11 rebounds. But to me, Auburn's still the better basketball team. If this game is played on a neutral court, I think Auburn wins. Obviously, I think the home court advantage, the Cameron Crazies are nuts. The number one team in the country is coming to town. Like, they're probably camping out for days upon days. Huge game early in the year. You finally get a home game. They're playing a lot of these big games early in the year on neutral sites. So to get the number one team in the country coming to your home turf and be able to have your crowd behind you, and especially with these freshmen, that probably helped them a lot because they're not in a tough environment. They're all rooting for them. They're not cheering on as far as the other teams. So for me, that was the biggest thing is the home crowd. But I agree, Malik Brown's defense incredible on Janai Broome. And then, Baker Mazzara didn't really play like himself. And
how about that freshman, John? That freshman.
Pettiford.
No, I'm talking about for Duke, hitting six threes in a game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got to give him a shout-out for sure.
Isaiah Evans,
Yeah.
shout-out. Isaiah Evans, shout-out. Yeah,
Just a burner.
Just impressive. But, yeah, Malik Brown's defense, Cooper Flagg showed up in a huge way. Cardwell was in foul trouble all night for Auburn. But either way, I mean, this is a game you can look at one way or another. You can go ahead and say that Auburn went on the road to arguably the best atmosphere in college basketball and absolutely was right there in the game the whole entire time. I mean, like you said, they were up 13-2 to start the game. Or you can say, Duke finally won a big game.
Yeah.
And that's good to see for those freshmen early in the year. So I look for both these teams to keep rolling. And I mean, both these teams are Elite Eight Final Four teams. I mean, no doubt about it. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So.
But
yeah, it wouldn't surprise me
Still,
if these two teams matched up with each other again in the tournament.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, these, like we've just stated for the past 5 to 7 minutes, I mean, these two teams are impressive. Mm-hmm. They play elite level ball at every aspect of the game, and that's what you look for in those teams that you pick for your March Madness. The guys that can, if they're not having the ball go down, they can play defense and stop the other team from scoring. You know what I mean? And like John said, Cameron Indoor is probably one of the toughest environments to play in. Duke fans show out. It's I've never obviously played in it, but the other opposing team has to be just like dismantled. But
yeah, my dad went in there on a tour of Cameron Indoor. He actually hit all three on Tobacco Road, and he said, going into that stadium, it's actually like really small inside.
Yeah.
And like when he stepped foot in, he was like, oh wow, like these guys are actually like on top of you as fans. So I mean, it's probably a great environment. I would love to go see a Duke Carolina game there one time.
Yeah.
I just think that type of atmosphere would be electric to watch a good game in.
For sure. But
Yeah, I've stood on the court there at Duke, and that entrance into there, it's almost like a high school gym, honestly. Obviously, it's a little bigger, but there's some Indiana high school basketball gyms that are close to the size of Cameron Indoor Stadium, and that's not even a lie. I mean, it's hard to get a ticket there, but absolutely, they're on top of you, DP, and that's awesome because it was a cool experience for sure.
Yeah, and we're gonna.
I wanted to throw in before we get off the top. I want to get in here before we get off the topic. Flagg still only shot 7 of 18, didn't make a 3, so there's still another level to this kid's game that I'm waiting to see. Obviously, Broom had 20 and 12, and he shot 8 for 18. He's going to get his, but it just didn't seem like it was his night at all, especially early on, and I think Duke's game plan was to let him get his, but don't let him go off and affect and change the game. And I think that's ultimately what ended up contributing to Duke's win. And like I said, I felt like they controlled a good majority of the game. I would love to see it again on a neutral site.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see that matchup again. I'm not worried about it. I'm excited about it. We're going to rotate into the Kansas Creighton Blue Jays. John loves Blue Jays. Took down our Kansas team, at home. Coach McDermott, I have a lot of respect for him, but I'll be honest, I didn't see this one coming. Kansas Jayhawks, rock chalk, my national championship pick. And, I mean, Pop Isaacs just dismantled them. I'm not sure how many he finished with, but it just felt like every shot of his was going in. And it was wide open looks. He was getting to his spots, John loves Kalkbrenner and setting good screens, popping off that. He didn't play too much of a factor in the offensive game. Hunter Dickinson, veteran on the other side. I think he was more of just like do your role this game. But, John, what do you think about the Blue Jays?
Yeah, in case you guys haven't heard it yet, give me the Blue Jays. Yeah, they fire me up, dude. We were sweating it out early in the year. They were playing in that tournament, and they absolutely got rolled. They got ran over. Kalkbrenner looked like he hurt that team a little bit, but, I mean, this was an impressive win. Ashworth's back, showed out in a big way. It was almost like it just doesn't make any sense to me. These college basketball teams, when they're at home, they look like they're national championship contenders, and then they go on the road, and they look like they're not top 25 basketball teams. So the biggest thing to me, as far as and I don't know if you guys know, but Pop Isaacs did get hurt.
Oh, I didn't see that, actually.
Yeah, Pop Isaacs got hurt.
So he would have had more points.
He's done for the year, right, John?
He's done for the year?
Pop Isaacs is done for the year. Yeah, he's going to undergo season-ending surgery. So
Creighton's done.
Yeah.
They're done.
Huge win for Creighton, though. I mean, I didn't think there was, like I told Zach, I told you sitting there, I was like, there's no way that Kansas loses this basketball game. They have so much leadership on that Kansas team, and Creighton showed up, and having Ashworth back is so big for them because he's their leader. He's got the ball in his hands the most, but also Pop Isaacs looked great. But yeah, this Creighton team's chucked. So if nobody knew this, breaking news: Pop Isaacs out for the season.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. What do you think? Are the Blue Jays done, DP?
You might have to rely on Kalkbrenner a lot more now. I mean, obviously you're losing Pop, one of your top scorers, and I think this was a comeback game for Kalkbrenner and company, strictly because he didn't play against Notre Dame in that tournament out in Vegas,
Right.
And I like to base a lot of my assumptions on if a team plays Notre Dame, how will they be able to play? And with Notre Dame being able to hang,
They hang with big dogs.
hanging with Creighton, I was like, oh, the Jayhawks should run this team out of the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And, just completely wrong. I actually didn't bet anything in this game, which is very surprising.
It's good for you, looking at the score. You probably would have been.
The first half over 72, that probably would have been around 80.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that's just a killer to Creighton. Maybe we're going to have to see, Kalkbrenner score 50 a game for them to stay in games.
Yeah. Mac, what do you think about this Jayhawks team? Or, excuse me, the Blue Jays?
I think Creighton's obviously going to have a massive hit with Pop Isaacs being out. This was their coveted transfer. He's a very good player. He's a great defender. And I think it's going to affect him. But I still see this team, I see it kind of just how I saw it before. They're a 6 or 7 seed. They could be dangerous. Now I think they're probably slightly less dangerous, and I think the ceiling is probably a 7 to 8 seed for them. As for Kansas in this game, I really wasn't surprised. They seemed to not get anything going.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this game just kind of had an aura around it to me that this was a game Kansas was going to walk in and just not hit shots, not gain any momentum, and lose. And breaking news, I don't know if you guys saw, Kansas just lost again today on the road at Mizzou. A little trouble in paradise in Lawrence, maybe. Once again, they probably have the best overall roster that they handpicked and paid. Bill Self can do that legally now. Shout out Bill, biggest cheater in the game. But yeah, I mean, once again, this Kansas is just very underwhelming. I don't know that they fit together as a team.
Yeah, 7-2. I'm not too worried right now. All the big dogs have losses right now. Great game last night. We'll get into this later, but that Gonzaga-Kentucky game was great. Another big dog falling, but we're going to go to DP's wagon here, the Cyclones. DP's love the Cyclones. Picked them in, 2 tournaments this year already?
Yes. They failed me both times.
And I had them -6.5 against this Marquette game, but this was high-level basketball, I was in DP's house, go figure, and I was a little worried. Marquette tied it up 61-61, and then the Cyclones, I'm pretty sure, went on like a 13-0 run late in the game. I was very impressed with the Cyclones, always known for defense, and when it comes down to it, they put the ball in the basket. So, like I said, I'm very, very high on this Cyclones team, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're a 3 seed in the tournament, flirting with that line. But DP, what do you think about these Cyclones?
Yeah, I love both of these teams that that played in this game. I mean, obviously we watched the Marquette Wisconsin game as well. I'm really high on Marquette as well. I love
Shaka.
Yes, him and Cam Jones. But I was shocked with this Iowa State performance, like truly.
Yeah.
I played Iowa State first half. It was like 2.5 or 3.5, and I saw the score come in. I was like, holy crap, they're handling this team. Then, you always get the afterthought betting. It's like, well, I should have took them for the game and stuff like that.
Right.
But I'm just glad I took them for first half and first half over. But, yeah, this team's playing some elite level ball. I know that I, said in previous statements about, their defense, but, like, this team's got to be averaging close to 85 points a game, which is something that I think will really help them contend in their conference, strictly because, if they're shutting teams down, they can't score, and then they're pouring in 80 a night. It's going to be a tough out.
Well, it's because Gilbert. He's a true leader, man. Pretty sure he finished with 25, maybe a little less. I'm not sure, but this kid just knows how to win. He's got that Anthony Edwards factor in him where he can turn it up, and he is truly a leader. So Seblin. Seblin's been on that team for a little bit, veteran experience as well, but I am very happy with how Gilbert's playing right now for the Cyclones, and I think that is like promising to see as a Cyclones fan. They're rolling. That was a huge win. Top 10 win, right? When they win at a
Marquette was number 5.
Yeah, it's a top 10 win. And this Cyclones team's for real, and I'm excited for them to play some more quality opponents.
Dan Hurley, you're an idiot. because I love watching these high-quality basketball games. I don't care that you don't want to play in the Maui Invitational anymore because you play too good of competition. These basketball games are great in the beginning of the year. So keep them coming. Feed me these games.
Mac, what do you think about these Cyclones, baby?
I would like to say nobody cares about anyone else's bets, but I just got to throw this one out there. I had under 151.5. Looked like it was absolutely dead in the first half, and then the game ends right on 151. Did not deserve that one, but
those guys know how to do their jobs, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll also add this: the Clones are no longer just a defensive stalwart. They've got some offense. They have a backbone. They have an identity. This team's scary. I think they'll end up winning the Big 12. I like them much more than Kansas, and that's just where I stand on it now.
Hey, I don't think that's a bad take. John, what do you think about the Cyclones?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short and simple here. Kind of like you talked about, Keyshawn Gilbert, kid's an absolute stud. Put the ball in his hands, he's going to make plays. Another guy, Tamin Lipsey. I mean, he's been there now for a while. You got good guard play in college basketball, and you can take care of the basketball. You're going to win some basketball games, especially when you got a defense like Iowa State. I can't remember. I think he's the Serbian kid. His first name's Milan. I don't really know how to pronounce his last name, but he's also a stud.
Yeah.
He reminds me a little bit of Dirk. I'm not saying he is Dirk, but he reminds me a little bit of him. He can make tough shots. He hits that fall-away jumper. So this Iowa State team is for real. Another team, Elite Eight, Final Four. But, it's like you just wonder at what point are these high-level games, like, are away teams going to start winning big games on the road? Like, that's my biggest question, and that's one thing that I want to know. And that's when I think another team will separate themselves from other teams in college basketball, when they can go into hostile environments and win basketball games.
Yeah, and going off with
life on the road in college basketball right now is as miserable as it's ever been. With the transfer portal, the experience, everything level playing field, depending on who you ask. Some people seem to think Alabama just buys all their players. But, life on the road in college basketball period right now is as tough as it's ever been, and nobody can change my mind on that.
Yeah, and going off what Mackie just said, and John, life on the road right now is miserable, as Mackie put it. I just love seeing Purdue getting their ass spanked. It's like, it brings me so much joy, and I love seeing those Nittany Lions beat the hell out of them. I'll be honest, if I'm Purdue, I'm a little worried right now. This is supposed to be their month, November, early December, where they're winning games and usually undefeated, maybe one loss. But I think Braden Smith's playing too much hero ball. I love Braden Smith. I hate Purdue. I think he's a great guard, preseason All-American. But I think he's trying to do too much for this Purdue team, and I think it's actually hurting them. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, this line was Penn State minus 2.5. That's telling everybody and their mom to go play Purdue plus a 2.5. They're obviously the better team, but Penn State just came out and waxed this team. And based on what you said about Braden Smith, I think he has to. I think he has to do that because besides Kaufman-Wren, I don't think they have another guard. I think Flopper Lawyer is horrible, and Miles Colvin can't do it either. So I think Braden Smith has to try and take over games by himself, and this could be the result of it.
And I don't think that's going to be how Purdue wins games because that's just how they haven't been. They've been team-style basketball, and I think if Braden Smith's going to continue to have to play like this, I think that they are going to struggle like they have been as of recently.
Yeah, they don't have a foul merchant anymore, so, they're going to have to find other ways to win games.
Yeah, but I'm not discrediting this Nittany Lions team by any means. Ace Baldwin is a stud.
8-1.
I mean, John, these Nittany Lions for real? Because I like how they play some basketball. They get going.
So here's what I'm going to say. I think this goes for a lot of teams in the Big Ten, especially the middle and the lower level teams. No matter what, teams on the road in the Big Ten are going to struggle. Teams at home are going to put up a fight against good teams. It's just going to happen. And another thing that stood out to me in this game is that Purdue is not good. Purdue is not the Purdue that they've been for the last 3, 4, 5 years. Braden Smith, Braden Smith can't do it all, man. I understand he's a good guard, but if you don't have help around you, you can't just throw it into Edey inside anymore. Like, this Purdue team is not – Ja'Kari Brooks, they got a freshman. They got C.J. Cox, a freshman. To be honest, when I watched him, Miles Colvin saved them in that Ole Miss game.
Yeah.
So this Purdue team right now, they just don't have a true identity. And Painter will figure it out, but I don't think Purdue is going to be anything higher than a 6, 7, 8, 9 seed this year in the tournament because, I mean, there's a lot of teams in the Big Ten that I've watched that I think are better. I think Michigan and Wisconsin are both better than Purdue this year. So, but like you said, it's life on the road in the Big Ten, and it's never going to be easy. But Penn State is going to give a lot of good teams games, and Purdue is just simply not as good as they once were.
What do you think, Mac?
I think it's worth noting that while we're talking about this and analyzing the blowout loss, which I took more from Penn State in that game, and Ace Baldwin putting Braden Smith, or Stat Patter Smith, shout out Jake Mayo, put him in absolute hell for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was my one takeaway there. But Purdue bounced back today against Maryland, a very, very good Maryland team at home, obviously. And Braden Smith played really well. I think this Purdue squad will end up being a very solid team. But, yeah, I don't see anything more than a 4 or 5 seed out of them. My question for you guys would be, where would you be at on this Purdue team if they had kept Cannon Catchings and he went out to BYU? Painter probably should have swallowed his pride on that one and not told him to walk. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
John, do you want to attack this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I think Painter's ego is just too big sometimes, man. He has to recruit guys, and he has to recruit guys that he can develop. It's never like he can just go out and get a big name that is already a very solid basketball player. Cannon Catchings is a stud.
Yeah.
Like, how they let him get away kind of reminds me of, like, how did Indiana let Liam McNeil get away? Like, kind of in the same way, it just makes you irk yourself because at some point these coaches, especially like Dan Hurley's another guy, like, swallow your ego. Swallow your ego at some point and be there for the kids. Don't be there for yourself. That's my whole thing, and I think that's the biggest thing, especially coaching kids at that young of an age and kids that are being developed into men and stuff like that. So I do agree with you on that if Kenny Catchings was at Purdue, this team looks a lot different.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there, John. Yeah, we know he's a stud, and I mean, if I'm honest, if I know if I'm not going to the NBA, which he might, why like if Painter didn't think he was going to the NBA, that's the guys he recruits. You know, he recruits a team. He doesn't recruit these one and done type of guys, and I don't know. And personally, like, I would like playing for Painter. You know, I'm not going to the NBA. I know he's going to develop me, and I know I'm probably going to play because I play defense. You know, shout out Sasha, stud. But this game last night, I didn't get to watch much of it. But this Gonzaga-Kentucky game, I actually didn't even get to watch a second of it. I was at work. Shout out Square Roots. So, guys, I'm going to need some help on this game. DP, did you get a chance to tune into this Gonzaga-Kentucky game?
This game was electric. Take a guess what I had betting in this game?
Both team totals over, first half over, full game over.
Yeah.
And I looked at you right before I left, DP, and I said, you need overtime.
Yes.
And what'd you get, kid? What'd you get?
We finally got the OT, baby. We finally got it. But, yeah, this game was it seemed that, you know, Kentucky withheld the punches. Like, they weathered the storm enough. Okay. And, you know, they only held Gonzaga to 29 points in the second half, which is nuts. And they put up 45.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was great because it was tied at 79. You know, Kentucky had a look at the buzzer, and I needed to get to overtime for both team totals. And it finally got there, and, you know, Kentucky was running away with it in overtime early. Gonzaga couldn't get a shot off. And finally, Gonzaga started to crawl back in overtime. And they hit, you know, the clutch three at the end of the, you know, basically at the end of the game. Shot clock was winding down. There was 3 seconds left. And, you know, they had a chance. But, you know, Gonzaga dribbled the ball up the floor and got, you know, poked away. And, you know, the Cats won. But this was a great basketball game. Yeah. Feed me more of this. Like, this is, you know, that over-under pregame was 166.5. So, you know, I needed the overtime. But, but yeah, this was a great basketball game. You know, we turned it on after the football games ended. So, you know, I didn't get to watch most of the first half, but the second half and overtime. But this was a, you know, quality basketball game. Kentucky without their point guard, don't matter, I guess, huh?
I guess not. John, what do you think, buddy?
Crazy. I love this Mark Pope coach Kentucky team. They're gritty. They're not flashy. They're not trying to outscore you. This Mark Pope Kentucky team is gritty. Like, I honestly, and Mackey's a big Kentucky guy, so he may disagree with some of these things. But I think Mark Pope and Andrew Carr together, that duo, I love it. It electrifies me sometimes because you don't see that fire in college basketball anymore. And Jackson Robinson stepped up. He played great. Oweh, he had to handle the ball a little bit down the stretch of that game. But, again, I know I've said it many times. Again, early in the year, 2 Sweet 16 Elite 8 caliber teams and a great basketball game. I hope they keep feeding us games like this. And all this Gonzaga experience, I was shocked the way that they finished that game down the stretch.
Mac, what do you think? Mac, what do you think, bud?
So I can take over on the first half analysis. Gonzaga kicked our teeth in the first half. They ran the floor. They boat raced us up and down the floor. Kentucky didn't hit any shots hardly at all, except for the first 2 threes of the game that they watched fall. But the resilience in the second half, which I must have to mention, I had to rewatch this morning because I fell asleep at the under 16 timeout. I had to move my girlfriend out yesterday. It was a crazy day, and we were exhausted. We went to bed, woke up to quite a surprise, and went back and watched the second half. Just what gritty. There's no other way to put it. The shots aren't falling. You only shoot 28% from 3 when that's supposed to be your MO, and you find a way to play enough defense on Gonzaga to slow them down and control the game, and then you go and tie it after being down 16 points at halftime against one of the 3 best teams in the country, in my opinion. Unbelievable. Mark Pope deserves all the praise in the world for another halftime adjustment. This will completely wipe out the loss earlier in the week to Clemson. That was just a road game against a very good Clemson team, and they were in it till the end there as well. Clemson just got them out at the end. It is what it is. But unbelievable comeback, and I can't wait to see what this team does come SEC time when the shots start falling and the team gets more time together. Because obviously there were 0 returning guys on the squad, so see them coming back and banding together like that when you're down 16 in Seattle against one of the best teams in the country, unreal.
Yeah, DP, you want to touch some more on this?
Yeah,
welcome to the moving world, Mackie.
Yep, not fun.
Yeah, another great thing in this game was the Andrew Carr versus Graham Ike battle. That was awesome down the stretch because it seemed like they were just feeding those 2 guys. It was just great to see those 2 big men work. I mean, the play at the end of the game that Pope drew up for them to back screen to allow Carr to get to a spot, even though, Gonzaga didn't switch, he still was able to get to a spot and, throw up the 8-footer to have it go in. I thought that was a great job out of Pope there. This was just a very high-quality basketball game, and it was awesome.
We're going to be making the transition to something where I have been so excited to talk about today, and that is the college football playoff, baby. I mean, it's here, and watching it, I was eating it up, watching Nick Saban just talk about how Bama has the potential of not being in, and I loved it. I love seeing his old ass just be so frustrated with him consciously knowing that they weren't going to get in the playoff. And you know him. He's got his biases, obviously. He thought they deserved to get in. I'm all for the Mustangs. But the thing that I wanted to touch in on the most was just like, you got to go figure, right? Hoosier grad and Irish diehard. And who do the Hoosiers play? They go to South Bend and play the Irish. Go figure. But, I'm going to be pulling for the Irish. I know you are too. But I'm just going to be rooting for a good game in this spot. But I do think the committee screwed the Irish. So did Quinn Ewers. You suck. But DP, what did you think about these rankings? Do you think that they were all correct, or what do you think?
The one thing that really stood out was this morning when I woke up that it said that we had moved to number 3 in the AP poll. And I think based on the BCS algorithm, we would be playing Oregon in the national championship game if it was, the BCS era. And it was just nuts to me that, we dropped all the way down to 7. Texas has what? A 1-ranked win versus A&M at the end of the year, which A&M ended up, being A&M at the end of the day. Penn State haven't beat a team in the top 25 the whole year. They've struggled. Yeah, they had a great showing. That game was awesome to watch.
Was good. Nittany Lions played well. Can't take that from them.
And so I'm just totally surprised that Texas, I'm not surprised. They love the SEC. I definitely thought us and Penn State was going to flip-flop.
Yeah, I agree.
And, I mean, just because, they have 2 losses, obviously at home to a Buckeye squad. And, and then lost to Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. And I understand, don't penalize teams for playing.
I agree.
Obviously, what happened with SMU.
Right.
And, based on what you touched on earlier, like, I love that Joey Galloway, Greg L. McElroy, Saban were all butthurt that Bama was not getting in just because of their SEC bias.
Shout out Parker Gleam. Roll Tide! Yeah, I hate them. I'm so happy that they're not in. We've touched on it how Jalen Milroe is a stud. We know that. Like,
don't lose the 2 6-6 teams.
Yeah, go Sooners, dude. 3 points against Oklahoma. Blitz, Bama, blitz. They suck. I'm so happy the Mustangs are in. Mac, did you have any controversy with these picks?
No, nothing whatsoever. When you go down to Oklahoma and you lose 24-3 to Jackson Arnold, who doesn't barely even have a pulse on the field, you don't belong in the playoff. If their name wasn't Alabama, they would have been behind South Carolina, Miami, and probably a few others. Probably Army as well. I at this point, I have nothing to say against the committee. They got it right, and these matchups are going to be awesome. Ohio State, Tennessee, 8-9 matchup. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Let's roll.
John, what do you think? Are you a little nervous for the Volunteers coming?
Not one bit. Tennessee was the one draw that I wanted Ohio State to get. I think Tennessee is the worst team out of the 12 teams in the playoff.
You don't even believe that.
No, I 100% do. I think you line SMU and Tennessee up tomorrow. I think SMU runs them off the field. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I think for one time in these rankings, and obviously it's the first time, this is a little bit of a test run here with the 12-team playoff. I think the committee got it right. But is it crazy to say that Penn State won that by losing to Oregon yesterday? I mean, Penn State now gets to go through SMU and then Boise State?
Yeah.
And Oregon gets either Tennessee or Ohio State.
John, are you saying that the Nittany Lions threw that game?
I do not think they threw that game. If anything, and I don't know if we're breaking down games yet, but all Penn State did to me yesterday was prove to me that they are legit national championship contenders. That's all they did yesterday. And I was sitting there, and I bet on Penn State, and me and DP are watching, and there were so many times Penn State could have gone down 35-10, and they just kept fighting back. I mean, Tom Allen's defense just couldn't get a stop, probably because of his play calls. But, yeah, I think the committee got it right. SMU is better than Alabama. I truthfully believe that. You can't go and get motorboated by Oklahoma on the road. A bad Oklahoma team. And by the way, Jackson Arnold, welcome to the portal. Nobody wants you.
And John, I actually kind of disagree with you in this aspect of, we've touched on it a couple times. We just know how fraudulent that Oregon defense is. I think that, I think Iowa could put up 35 on that Oregon defense, and that's saying something. I'm not taking anything away from how the Nittany Lions played at all, because they played a great football game. That was awesome to watch. Almost 100 points scored in that game. Can you believe that? Was there 100?
86.
86. Yeah. Again, not taking anything away from Oregon at all. I love Dylan Gabriel. I think he's an absolute stud. But I don't know, if you get these teams that can hold this Oregon to punt one or two times a game, are they going to be able to play defense and stop the teams from scoring? What do you think?
In both their games that they've played against, very high-quality competition in Ohio State and Penn State, they've given up the Buckeyes scored, 31 points?
Yeah, 31 and 37, so 68 combined.
Yeah, 68 combined versus, top 3 teams in the country.
Yeah.
So, they'll have to, they're about to find out real quick.
That's worrisome, dude.
So, I think it's going to be great. This stuff's going to be great to watch, but I already heard them complaining for next year that they want it to just go seeded straight down to get rid of the conference champions.
That's horrible.
And so I don't know if this is for, them to, have their Alabama love or what, but.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So
it's always about it.
Why even play the conference championship?
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's all that's going to be.
I didn't hear about that rumor, Mackie. Were you aware of what DP just said?
I heard that, and at the end of the day, they didn't even punish anyone for playing in a conference championship either. So that's another takeaway, that these games are probably not even that important. It's just going down another path of we're not going to play these games eventually. And
but it's a championship. Who doesn't want to play for a championship? You're telling me all those teams that lined them up yesterday didn't want to win those football games?
Oh no, they wanted to win the games, but it's pretty clear looking at it now that the committee didn't punish any team for losing that game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
And what I really look at is when you are playing in these conference championship games, not only do you got to think of these playoffs, but you got to think of the smaller conferences. These guys are, I mean, that's what they're playing for. Like, that's their whole season. They're not making a playoff. So they're sitting there and they're playing to win their conference. That's what they're there for. That's why guys go out and play at small Division I schools. So I think you can't get rid of the conference championships, and if they do, I honestly think it would make college football worse.
I agree with you. Oh, sorry.
Can I make a bold prediction real quick?
Yeah, and I'm thinking I'm reading your little peanut brain. I think we're going to agree on something, actually.
Clemson beats Texas in the first round.
All right, I'm not that stupid. I totally disagree with you, but I will say this.
They couldn't beat a backup quarterback yesterday.
I really haven't been impressed by Texas at all this year. I could see it. I think 10.5 is way too many points. We'll talk about that later.
This is what I think, though. If I'm any team in the country right now, I am scared to play ASU right now.
Yeah, they're hot.
Scattaboo is a Miley Cyrus wrecking ball. I mean, this kid is unbelievable. He doesn't go down. He loves contact, too. He's looking to hit somebody instead of getting hit. And, shout out DraftKings. I had 200 on ASU money line, 200 to win 188. And, I mean, was it just sweat-free on your couch?
Yeah, ASU was completely dominant. As I was talking to John when he got off work, he said, when he got on the truck to load it, it was 3-0. When he got off, it was 42-10. So it was pretty quick turnaround for ASU. Iowa State, they're garbage. Campbell can't win a game. I already heard, on Twitter the Iowa State fans calling for his head because he just loses games.
Yeah, he's a loser.
But based on this bracket, I'm actually really intrigued because I think this bodes well for both of our teams. I think whoever wins this Notre Dame IU game could beat Georgia, and then you're playing SMU, Penn State, or Boise State.
Yeah,
for a shot to go to the national championship game. And so, I mean, I think that's a great draw for us. I also other than having to play Oregon, I think ASU has a chance to make it to the Final Four.
I do. I agree with you too.
Because Texas is not impressive. Quinn Ewers, falling like a little child trying to throw balls versus pressure. Me and John were talking. John, you could take this over a little bit, but does Sark go to Arch Manning here in the playoffs?
I think if Quinn Ewers struggles in the first half of the first game here against Clemson, I think you have to. You got to turn the page at some point. I think he's so much trying not to ruin Quinn Ewers' future that he's not looking at Texas' future. I mean, their time is now. This team is very capable of winning a national championship. They were preseason number 1 or 2. I can't remember. But they're right up there with all the other big dogs. And everything is right in front of them. I just think at some point you go to the more athletic quarterback. Quinn Ewers is falling back trying to put air under throws yesterday when he has one of the best arms in college football. Put the ball on a dime, hit your receivers. You have talent all over the field. You're Texas. I don't know. I don't think they will, but don't be surprised if you see a little more of Arch Manning in the quarterfinals here.
Yeah, so I'm going to lead us off here with our predictions of who's going to win the national championship here. And, I'm going to get maybe some hate here, maybe some biasy, but I think it's ultimately going to come down to 2 teams. And one of them is like a dark horse, you'd say, as we've been talking about. But I'm picking the Irish to win the national championship. Like DP just said, we do have – I don't want to call it a cakewalk by any means because that Hoosiers team is good. And I honestly think that the Hoosiers are better than Georgia, especially if Carson Beck doesn't play because he's got a little cut on his shoulder. You're soft. But if the Irish beat the Hoosiers, they're going to Georgia to play Georgia. If Georgia starts as a backup quarterback, we are going to kill them. And I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Irish will probably win by 10. I mean, I guess that's a close game, but it won't feel like it. It'll be one of those games where you think that the Irish are winning by 24, and they're only up 10. Then, in my opinion, would probably play Oregon. Just kidding. ASU beats Oregon, and it'll be a Notre Dame, Arizona State national championship where the Irish bring one home for the first time in a long time. Give me the Irish.
Wow. That's kind of wild, picking ASU. I do think, might eat some words here or whatever, but, I think that we do beat IU and then beat Georgia. But, after that, it's coming down to certain games. That Penn State team is really good, guys. Like, as much as they've struggled throughout the year, I think Penn State handles SMU and they handle Boise State. But Oregon ran the ball really effectively versus that Penn State defense. So you could look for an Ashton Genty 300 bomb incoming, could be, in that game once they beat SMU. I think the Buckeyes roll over Tennessee, truly. I don't think Tennessee stands a match. I think Ohio State's defense will bring too much to the table versus Nico and company. And then, I'm with, I think he's an idiot, but give me Dabo Weenie to beat Texas, but then ultimately lose to ASU. I'm with you. I'm not taking Arizona State, but give me what the 2012 BCS game should have been, Notre Dame versus Oregon, if they didn't lose to Stanford. So I'll take that. I'll obviously pick my team to win.
Right.
But I think Oregon, offensively is an absolute juggernaut. And, that game versus Ohio State could determine it. John always says, Ohio State's got a chance to still win the national championship, and they 100% do. Don't count out the Sun Devils, though. But I think, based on looking at the bracket, that we should come out of the bottom of the bracket.
John, what do you think, bud?
So as my two friends did, I am doing the opposite. I am not picking my team to win the national championship. So I'm going to give a little breakdown. I think the Hoosiers will beat Notre Dame in a very close game.
Oh, here we go. This dumbass stuff.
I think Penn State beats SMU, and then I think Ohio State rolls Tennessee, and I think Clemson beats Texas. So then in the second round, I think Georgia beats IU. I think Penn State rolls Boise State. I think it's hard to beat a good team twice. I think Ohio State beats Oregon. And then I think Clemson beats Arizona State. So I got a Final Four of Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, and Penn State. I got Penn State beating Georgia. I got Ohio State beating Clemson. I got Ohio State, Penn State in a rematch in the national championship. And I have the Penn State Nittany Lions winning the national championship.
This guy's an idiot.
And I've said it since this morning after watching them last night. I think this Penn State team is a team that will at least get there. I don't know if they'll win it, but they will be playing for a national championship in Mercedes-Benz Stadium on whenever it is, January 21st.
I mean, you just have no stones putting your team in the national championship and not taking them. You're a coward. You're actually a coward.
I did take my team to get there, though, and I took my other team to upset your little puny Catholic team over there, buddy.
Puny Catholic. Jeremiah Love might run for 300 on you and hurdle over 6 guys on the Hoosiers. Mac, who's your pick?
Give me the Longhorns. I know it's going to sound crazy.
My God. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Give me the
You
Longhorns.
thought mine was bad?
Mackey's beanie is squeezing his brain.
Yeah.
It's the SEC
Give me the
beanie.
Longhorns to beat Clemson. Give me the Longhorns to beat Arizona State. Defense wins championships. And then I think you're going to get Ohio State and Texas in the semifinal. And I think Texas would barely edge out that game 23-17. And
Correct score, maybe, Sprinkle?
Wow.
Correct score, Sprinkle?
Picking Ohio State to score that many points?
Coming on the other side, Mac.
I'm very conflicted on the other side. Very
You know who's coming out of the other side.
Notre Dame or Penn State would be my pick. I haven't really finalized it yet.
Does anyone else have anything to say? I mean, the consensus is that the Irish are winning the national championship. It seems
So
like.
we got two Notre Dames, we got a Penn State, and we got a Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Penn State pick is horrible, but I think
They got the easiest path there.
I know they play Ohio State.
No, they wouldn't play Ohio State for the national championship, buddy.
No, but I'll be honest though, I do like the dark horse of Boise State. I think that Penn State SMU game is going to be surprisingly a lot better than a lot of people think. I don't know. I was out on them when I saw that they were down 21-7 against Clemson. But they showed heart. They came back, won the game. Or no, almost won the game.
Mm-hmm.
Special teams loses games, go figure.
One thing about that SMU, Oregon threw the ball with ease on Penn State. Look for, if the weather is not atrocious up in Happy Valley, for SMU to sling the rock 40 times. Because I think that's how you beat, I've always said that's how you beat teams, when Bama was good with Saban, that – yes, their defense is great, but it's all in the front seven.
Mm-hmm.
They're, Bama's trench game was, and their linebackers were phenomenal.
Yeah.
But if you could make them get into a throwing match with you, that's where, you need to take advantage. And I think that SMU could take advantage of Penn State's secondary room.
All right, gentlemen, are we ready to rotate to the NFL? We all good? All right, guys.
Yes, sir.
We're going to hit a couple topics here in the NFL. What? Oh, my God. The Panthers just scored.
Oh, incomplete.
Just kidding. But we're going to first be talking about Johnny must have thrown this in here. Poor topic. But we're going to be talking about the minimal chances of the Colts making the playoffs, John, and I'll let you start it off with that.
I don't see how they're minimal, to be completely honest with you. Miami's pretty done with their schedule down the stretch. The Broncos still got to play the Chargers and the Chiefs. The Colts finished their season, I don't know if you guys know this, with the Broncos, the Giants, the Jags, and the Titans. You're looking at a game besides next week. That Broncos-Colts game probably determines if the Colts are going to the playoffs or not. They'll be favored in those last 3 games of the year. They should handle those teams. Obviously, they struggle against bad teams sometimes. But a lot of people are underestimating how big this Broncos-Colts game is next week for a young team and 2 young quarterbacks with a chance to get to the postseason early in their careers. So I think that this is going overlooked. And obviously, I'm a biased Colts fan, but this team, Shane Steichen finally put his nuts on the table last week and went for 2 and used his young quarterback, and he got it done. So, Mac, you're a huge Colts fan too, so I want your thoughts. I think the Colts are going to make the playoffs. I think they got an outside chance to win the division with the Texans schedule down the stretch.
I am a little more bullish. I think it's good to get this experience here early in Richardson's career. He's just got it, gentlemen. I don't know what else to tell you. That's two game-winning drives in his last 3 games. Not every quarterback's got it, but he's got it. He just needs to be more consistent in the middle of the game in the second and third quarter. He always starts hot and ends hot, but in the second and third quarter, he just kind of doesn't find his groove. Something throws him off. I don't know what it is.
His brain.
Go figure. 4 wins for the Bears once again.
So I want a yes or no.
Hey, but
answer,
Mac.
Do the Colts win Do the Colts make the playoffs?
No.
Thank you, Mackie. Okay. But, Mackie, I do want to ask you a question before I ask DP if the Colts have playoff hopes. Mac, should Bears be disappointed with the level of play that Caleb Williams is showing?
No, he's young and developing. He's a rookie. Some Bears fans had unrealistic expectations for him in the beginning of the year. He's young and developing, and you got to ride the roller coaster with rookie QBs. Every time Richardson makes a bad play, I want to say he sucks and he needs to be cut, and then he makes up for it. So you just got to ride the roller coaster and see what happens. Now, if Caleb comes out next year and doesn't take a jump, then you can be concerned. But right now, I just think everybody had unrealistic expectations. Everybody thought he was Andrew Luck. He is not.
All right, well, thanks, man. DP, what do you think? Is Johnny just a moron or what? Thinking that they're going to make the playoffs?
Yes and no. But, this game versus Denver is a win and in for the Colts, in my opinion, as well. Bo Nix has been playing really good for Denver. Denver's got a great defense. So, to me, it'll all determine if they can beat them. And, I do think that if, the Colts beat Denver, they got 2 more games at home, 1 on the road, so after that one. So I think that there is that good outside chance. And like John said, the Texans have a rough schedule. They got the Chiefs, they got the Ravens, whoever else that they play. So those are not wins for Texans fans, especially, with the way that Stroud's been playing. Definitely in a little bit of a sophomore slump. Yeah, it hurt not having Diggs now, with Nico Collins being out. But, things could be bright in Indianapolis, if they pull out this win versus Denver.
Yeah, and then I'll just touch on.
This is our team. This is our Colts.
Enough with that.
We bleed.
Nobody wants to hear you sing.
We don't even need to talk about this next topic. The Niners are chalk, buddy.
They're done. I want to get my
Niners
input on.
are
Whoa! I want to get my input on this Colts playoffs chances that you somehow threw in the script. This is horrible. What just a waste of my breath. This team sucks. If they were to somehow make the playoff,
talk about the 4-8.
Hey, whoa! I'm not the one that put. I didn't put in Bears playoff chances. You're a moron. Waste of a keyboard type, in my opinion. This kid's an idiot.
The Bears don't have playoff chances.
Why not, John? What's our division look like?
Because they're gonna go 4-13, and they're gonna lose by 20.
Go figure. John's got something stupid to say again. Yeah, the top 3 in our division are what? What did the Vikings win today?
Yeah,
Did they beat
won.
the Falcons?
Yeah, they're up 21.
Okay, so that's another win. What are they? 11-2. The Packers, what are they? 10-3.
10-3 or
10-3, and the Lions are 12-1. Do that math, bud.
The Bears, what are
No,
they?
do the math.
What are the Bears?
What's
4-8?
that math?
What does it matter everybody else's record? What's the Bears'
We
record?
have to play
4-8.
those teams 3 times, dummy.
4-13.
You stupid? You get to
4-8.
play the Tennessee Titans
4-8.
twice a year and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Wow, Trevor Lawrence thinks he's on the playground right now. You idiot.
At the end of the day, you're 4-8. Shout out Shacky. I'll take my $250 whenever you want to pay up, buddy.
All right, whatever. I'll get off this Colts talk, but the Niners are done, like John said. They're chalked. They're done. I mean, no CMC. I mean, Ayuk being gone for a long time now. This team looks rough on offense. And Jordan Mason's out, too. This team is rough, DP. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, they have a bunch of injuries. I think Bosa was also questionable for this game. He actually might not even be playing. So, to be honest, it's going to be kind of crazy to look for the Bears to actually win this game today. Strictly because that, they're so depleted. I know you're shaking your head over there, but, don't be surprised if after this game that, the Bears trade, their first and second round pick for Kyle Shanahan.
Wow. What do you think about that over there? Yeah,
I got
talking
no
to
words.
you.
I mean, yeah, this is all I got to say. First of all, about the Niners is Daddy's done. He's hurt, and without him, they don't have a pulse. Brock Purdy, I think he'll get a good contract, but just think, I mean, I'm pretty sure the Seahawks and Cardinals are playing today, and that's another game up on the Niners in the division, and that's their only hope of getting into the playoffs, is winning the division. So this Niners team is done, but that -4.5 today is probably a $1,000 play. The Bears are absolutely miserable. They're horrible. I think the Niners, they're gonna wake up. They're gonna roll the Bears today. So their season's over, but you might as well keep embarrassing Bears fans because it's awesome to see. What do you think about this, Mac?
Yeah, the Niners are chalked this year. Just a bad season. Not much you can do about it. I kind of lean towards the Bears having a good performance today. I really don't see it with the Niners. I think they're going to mail it in. That's how I see it.
You mean they'll only lose by 2 touchdowns, not 3 this week?
Hold it,
I
John.
think they'll probably still lose the game.
He's
The Bears find a new way to lose.
He's
Every
an
single
idiot.
week, the Bears find a new way to lose.
But we're rolling into the NBA. We skipped this segment last week. We kind of ran out of time for the editor. Took too long. But go figure, one of Johnny's teams is struggling. The Warriors could be chalked. I watched – who'd they play the other night? Oh, the Timberwolves. I took the live over. And these guys scored 6 points in 8 minutes. The Warriors did. Go figure. I mean, this team's horrible. I seen Buddy Hield miss 3 wide open threes. Waters miss 3 wide open threes. If Curry's not on the court, this is borderline a pups team. Shout out Brian Paws. I mean, seriously, this is horrible out of the Warriors. What are they? 2-9 in their last 11 games? Are they? John, what do you think?
Yes.
He just says
it pained me to put
yes.
this in the script, but it pained me to put this in the script, but it needs to be talked about. I mean, you're the 1 seed in the West 2 weeks ago, and here you are at 13-9. Like, I just don't understand it. All of a sudden, what? You clinch a spot in a cup, and then you just collapse against the Nuggets? Like, I don't. What is this? What is going on with the Warriors? I mean, what happened to the Warriors' DNA? Honestly, what's happened to Steph Curry? You're not showing up in clutch time. You're not putting the ball in the basket. Like, you're trying to feed. I know we all yell and moan about Steph Curry. Why does he pass the ball so much? Why does he pass the ball so much in crucial situations? You are the best player in the world. Shoot the basketball. I mean, go get another star, or honestly, this season is over. I mean, I actually think that if they don't go out and get somebody at the deadline, I think this Warriors team goes like 32-40. I mean, the Warriors are honestly they're in trouble. And you'll never hear those words out of my mouth again, but this Warriors basketball team is in trouble. Buddy Hield, you showed up the first 10 games of the year. Where you been ever since?
DP,
BJD, why is he coming off the bench now? And you're starting a 50-year-old Kevon Looney? Like, I don't understand what's going on in this organization. I mean, Mike Dunleavy, you're a horrible GM. I mean, this team has just been in shambles ever since you've gotten into the office. So at some point, you got to make changes, and I don't know where it starts. But this topic specifically fires me up more than anything because I just don't know what's happened to this Warriors team.
Mackie, are the Warriors done? Because Johnny seems like he's given up.
No, it's the regular season. It's the NBA. They've probably just been hitting the club, getting a little hungover before their games. They'll get back in a groove. I'm sure they'll be just fine. They'll get into the playoffs, and I'm sure they'll probably lose in the second round because I didn't see them as a real NBA Finals contender, anyways. So I just think it's a little bit of a midseason lump here, and I think they'll be fine.
DP?
Yeah, I'm
They're
with
done.
Mackie.
They're shocked.
I'm with Mackie here. It's just, it's mid-season NBA. It happens. Especially with the way that some of these guys have been playing. Buddy Hield. And starting Looney is just kind of crazy. I'll be honest. TJD should be their starter. But it happens. It's the NBA.
Yeah, right.
This type of stuff happens. I mean, you're playing against the best guys. Night in, night out. So I mean, they'll find their groove again. I'm sure. Steph will get these guys rolling. So that's really it.
All right. Well, I guess I may be overreacting. I don't know. I'm probably just pissed they lost me money.
You're not overreacting at all. I watch every single game, start to finish, and this team is in trouble.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. They're not even playing defense.
Their offensive
This team is in trouble.
Their offensive flow just looks so blocky. If that makes sense to you, it doesn't look. There's just no flow to it. Even in transition, it looks like they're struggling. But I don't think Wiggins played in that Timberwolves game though. John, did he play in that Timberwolves game?
No. But
Yeah, which is he's a huge.
Had 30.
He's a big piece to that team. So, but I don't want to get us too far into this. But Johnny put in the script here some must-see TV of the Mavs and Thunder's game, NBA Cup game. John, just give us who do you think is going to win that game?
I think ultimately the Mavs will win the game. They got more experience. They got more depth. So to keep it short, I think the Mavericks win that game. But it's going to be an awesome game. Two high-level offenses. So I'd probably tune into that 9:30 TNT Tuesday night. It's going to be a good one.
Which I do think. I do think it's must-see TV, actually, because those two teams are good. But I don't know. I just feel like this Thunder team without Chet is not the same Thunder team at all. And I think I haven't been keeping up too much on the Thunder. Shout out Ron. But, yeah, I think that Chet is – I think we're realizing how important Chet is to that Thunder team, actually. But, Mac, do you have any comments on this Mavs Thunder, DP, anything?
I haven't done enough research to make a comment on it. I do think it'll be a good game. These matchups have always been good. And I will probably be tuned in as the college basketball slate is kind of light this week.
DP?
Give me the over. Figures.
That's all DP's got to say. But, Mac, we're going to throw it to you, your segment of the low-hanging fruit. What do we got this week, buddy?
Yeah, another 0-2 week, Kirk Cousins. Me and you need to have a conversation.
Wow.
15 interceptions, 21-21 going to the fourth quarter today, and you throw an interception in the red zone with your team down 7. You're a joke. You need to hang up the cleats. You have no swagger. Put Penix in. I'm over it. Whatever. This week we're going to go right to the NFL, and we are going to look at 2 specific spots here. We're gonna lay the 3 points again for the Commanders in New Orleans on next Sunday, -3. If they get it now, I think the Commanders are gonna hit their stride and keep rolling. And then pick number 2, we are going to go with. Give me 1 second to pull it up here. Sorry, of course the page never fails. Never fails. We're gonna go with the Jets -3.5 against Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville's done. Jets have shown a little bit today, so I think that they won't mail it in. I think the Jets will go ahead and win that game by a touchdown. What do you guys think?
DP?
Yeah, I think Washington definitely finds their stride. I really like that one. I think that, Derek Carr actually just got hurt. He tried hurdling somebody, thinking that he's Lamar Jackson. So feed me Washington early and often in that game. And, yeah, I think Jacksonville's done. I just think that, they've mailed it in. No T-Law. Mac Jones is not good. He just does some stupid crap all the time.
All the time.
So I love your plays this week, Mac. The only other thing that I have, feed me Army -5 versus Navy.
Wow.
I'm in for that too. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm very much
Mackie,
in for
Mackie,
that.
is that a third pick?
That could be a third pick.
That could be a third pick of the low hanging.
I think Army's a touchdown favorite, realistically.
John, what do you think about Mac's 2 picks here?
I love the Commanders pick. You couldn't pay me to bet on the Jets. I mean, you just don't know which. These are 2 horrible teams. You have no clue what's going to happen in this game. I mean, if the Jets win today, they'll be 4-9 against a 2-11 Jacksonville team. It's honestly a game I'd either just bet the under or stay away from. But I love the Commanders pick. I think that Commanders team's got to get here in a stride at some point if they're going to be the playoff team that everyone thinks they're going to be. So I'd say they both could be good picks, but I like the Commanders pick a lot better.
Yeah, like I said, I always roll with Mackie's picks. Besides last week, he was all over the UNLV spread. It was always Genty and the boys. I knew it.
UNLV had their chances. They blew it.
I told you, those Vegas boys can't play in that cold. I had the -3.5. Felt good about it. It was at Square Roots, delivering food and just wiping my ass with that money that Boise State brought me in. So that was awesome. But, Mac, I do like both of your picks today.
Let's also add in one more thing. Barry Odom's going to be the next coach at Purdue. Seems like he might have just mailed it in and been interviewing for the job before UNLV took the field on Friday night. Always disappointing to hear stuff like that after such a disappointing performance. But it seems like his head wasn't in there. Purdue got there. I guarantee you he was their third or fourth choice. I don't see how you hire him over Tyson Helton. But, hey, whatever. What do you guys think?
I mean, that Purdue football program is just horrible.
Good pickup. I mean, I think it's stuck. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're good. That's all I had to say. It's just that Purdue. It's sad to see, but that Purdue football program is just in shambles. And at this point, they're just trying to find some glue to potentially fix a huge problem.
Yeah,
Could Barry Odom be a good hire? Yes. He won 9 games at UNLV this year, and his quarterback quit mid-season. So you're never going to hear me say that it was a bad hire, but I don't think it was one of Purdue's first few choices at all.
DP?
I'm with you 100%. I don't think this does much for the Purdue program, so I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree.
Probably another 1-win season incoming.
Yeah, because all the Boilers' best players are leaving, and that's sad to say because they were few.
Yeah, they have
best players.
Yeah, they actually have 2 really good guys. That freshman safety and then that 5-star corner that chose to go there for whatever reason. I mean, your brain must be stupid if you're a 5-star going to Purdue. But some team will take him in the portal. I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame went after that freshman safety. So we'll see.
Yeah, but episode 6, guys, love it. DP, in the trenches here, food poisoning, but he stuck it out for however long we've been in front of this camera. Gentlemen, episode 6 was good. I liked all the topics. I was very excited for this one, actually, just because of the college football rankings. But, yeah, episode 6. Guys, what do we think? Good pod today?
Yeah, loved it. We're here.
Mac, John,
Boys are back.
any finishing remarks?
As always, let's get back on track. I had a little bit of a rough week on the books, but let's cash some tickets, gentlemen.
Let's cash them up.
I've lost 20 straight bets, so that'd be nice.
All right, guys. Beanie Boys out. Thanks for watching.
See ya.